As I begin writing this year's State of the County address, I couldn't help but think about how fortunate we all are to live in such a great county, the great Madison County of New York. Our county workforce is our bread and butter, working diligently daily for the residents, providing top-notch services and implementing programs and procedures that are ahead of other counties in New York State. We all should be grateful for that. I know I am. 2022 began with many COVID-19 restrictions still in place. Slowly, our communities started to come back together and rebuild and navigate a new post-pandemic world. We know that things will never be the same. In fact, I said in my first State of the County address, and many other countless times, if you don't like change, go home and hide under the bed. We can either lead, adjust, or we can hide and pretend that the rest of the world doesn't exist and act like when we get done hiding, things will be okay. I'm here to tell you, people of action and leaders embrace the change and make other lives better, make bad situations better, and face reality. That is what we do here in Madison County. We are leaders. We use a common sense approach to situations and adjust to change. Our employees have consistently been voted to be the heads of our state and national associations, whether it's the Department of Social Services, our Sheriff's Office, Probation, Highway, IT, board members, and many more. We lead. It is all about leadership. As we go into 2023, we're a financially healthy county. Our employees are paid well, and they have first-class equipment and facilities to provide services to our residents. But to continue that financial health, 2023 will be a year of advocacy and very hard decisions. The creation of the Madison County-wide Emergency Medical Services Initiative is going to help fill any current and future holes in coverage or need by our agencies. Our local providers are not immune to issues that other agencies across the state and nation are facing. These issues existed prior to the pandemic and have only been exacerbated by it. EMS agencies are facing staffing issues, low to no health insurance reimbursement rates, and long wait times at hospitals that tie them up with patients before they can get back in service. The demand on our local EMS agencies has increased over the past few years, and that is going to continue. For these reasons, Madison County is looking to change the way EMS looks in our county to help our current agencies and provide more efficient services to our residents. Change is not always bad. EMS of tomorrow may not be the EMS of yesterday, and that's okay. What we need to focus on is not what we want, but how we fill the need of our residents. Pre-pandemic, just 2 years ago, there were over 1,200 EMS agencies in New York State. Today, there are only 1,000. Strong advocacy in Albany to bolster what is left will only slow the bleeding. What we need is more than a temporary tourniquet. 7 years ago, Madison County spent county tax dollars to fund a study on EMS. Despite the findings and the predictions, if EMS service continued as status quo, which the board chose to do nothing, now everything the study predicted has come true. We've lost a volunteer ambulance service, and we've lost a lot of volunteers. Throughout the county, a lot of agencies are unable to sustain themselves without financial support from their municipalities. So now we do what we do best here in Madison County. We have a problem, we see the problem, and we have to fix it. Years from now, we will see that our efforts today created an EMS system that is the most efficient for our taxpayers and effective for our residents. Another hurdle that we face this year is the future of the Madison County landfill. When we were running on all 8 cylinders at the landfill just 10 years ago, recycling revenues came closer to covering costs, and machines cost only a fraction of what they do today. Then beginning in 2017, recycling markets crashed with China's national sword policy. And in 2020, the pandemic hit. As we pulled into 2022, the recycling program operating at a major deficit out of $900,000 in recycling costs here at the county, we only recovered $400,000. Last year, we spent about $1 million in ARPA funding on new equipment at the landfill. We're a very small municipal landfill, and in the landfill business, we are simply not achieving economics of scale that allow us to keep costs affordable. So what do? We have all heard the rumors circulating. We understand folks are concerned about transfer stations closing and about the landfill being sold outright. But let me make one thing clear, the landfill is not closing. In 2023, we will be evaluating our options for a private-public partnership for operations of the landfill that may allow the county to offer the same level of services at a much more reasonable cost. Under a partnership model, our county will hold the permit and still own the land of the landfill. In 2023, we will be assessing the benefits of such a public-private partnership, and we ask for your patience as we move through the process. Also in 2023, we'll be breaking ground on the largest project that Madison County has ever done. Our broadband fiber network will connect thousands of households to low-cost, high-speed internet, many of which currently do not have any access. Not only will this provide a necessary utility, but also our partner, Empire Access, will provide this service at a competitive cost, giving our taxpayers the choice on who they want for internet service. This project alone is $16 million with $10.1 million in grant funding. Delphi Falls, what an absolute gem to our county, rivaling anything the state park has and more. Again, because of our dedicated staff working tirelessly and thinking outside of the box, this once hidden gem is open to the public and will soon be better than ever. Grants, along with a generous donation from Harold Jones, helped pay to purchase the park, and now grants and a donation from the Allen family are paying for the new trails, parking lot, and bridge. Funding has also been set aside for 2023 and 2024 to pay for the new building that will sit where the house is now. Delphi Falls will truly be the envy of other counties and will be a must-see destination. Thanks to the forward thinking of this board and previous boards, this truly beautiful park is being brought to its full potential. Our rebranding of By Madison County in 2022 is seeing success. Once Madison County is a one-stop website that highlights our local farms and connects them with buyers. It also takes the work off of our shoulders of our farmers and gives them a free way to market their goods. I recently heard a person that watched one of the ads say how glad they were that we were helping our farms compete and sell locally against the two urban counties to either side of us. By Madison County is more than just a website, it's a way of life. We want you to know when you see the By Madison County logo that those products and services came from our great community. We will continue to build on the By Madison initiative for the foreseeable future to help our agricultural producers as well as our other local businesses. We have some exciting announcements coming, so stay tuned. In 2022, the Treasurer's Office continued to provide services to the community while expanding the use of technology. The delinquent tax area has continued to transition away from paper copies to digital storage, improving efficiency and saving money. They held a very successful land sale in 2022, which was conducted entirely online. The real property area recently completed a software upgrade to convert the county's tax maps and GIS data, and this vital information is now in the desired format for the new 911 CAD system that will be going live in the first quarter of 2023. The Treasurer's Office has also worked closely with the Finance Office to maximize its return on investments. Because of their efforts in 2022, the county will be on pace to achieve record investment earnings in 2023. The Treasurer's Office provides budgetary support for all our county departments. Whether a $50 donation or $13 million in ARPA funds, the Treasurer works with every department to help ensure the county budget is modified appropriately. In addition, the Treasurer presented the board a 2023 budget that fell under the tax cap. Even in a challenging budgetary year, thank you for your work, Cindy. In 2022, the county clerk was selected as the New York State Clerk of the Year. The clerk's office commenced management of a new domestic partnership registry, expanding the available options and benefits for couples in financially independent relationships. In the recording office, the participation in electronic submission of records has continued to increase, resulting in greater efficiencies. Records retention countywide has become more efficient by adhering to the New York State retention schedule and consolidating paper records into a new state-of-the-art storage system. The historian's office continued to document Madison County history and published his first book honoring World War casualties of Madison County, New York. Last year was a banner year in the DMV, aided by the expanding hours to the public. The total revenue increased 61% over the pandemic levels, and the retention to Madison County increased 11% to $1.38 million. Both are the highest numbers our DMV has ever produced outside of the pandemic years. As a result of taking advantage of the opportunities created by the pandemic, the DMV has also been seeing more transaction from fleet management companies. The year ahead has a great deal of financial and economic uncertainty, which will certainly affect the operations in the DMV and clerk's office in 2023. But there is no doubt Madison County has the right people in the right positions to lead and serve through the rough waters ahead. In 2022, the Sheriff's Office did an excellent job in receiving nearly $1.5 million in grant funding. This funding helped to cover the costs of our substance abuse medical treatment program, threat assessment management, body cameras, bulletproof vests, traffic safety stop DWI programs, and more. The Special Resource Officer program continues to grow and be successful in 2022. The Sheriff's Office added 3 SROs and now has a total of 13 SROs in Madison County schools and more to come. These officers help to keep our children and school staff safe, all while fostering positive relationships with our youth. The Madison County Sheriff's Office also initiated the Madison Threat Advisory Council, which is a threat assessment and management team. TAM teams are multidisciplinary groups that help identify, assess, and mitigate potential threats to include threats of domestic terrorism and or other acts of targeted violence. The teams work collaboratively to share information, to better understand relevant risk factors and what resources might be available to address individuals displaying concerning behavior. In 2022, the Corrections Division received their 5th consecutive approval for reaccreditation, which lasts for the next 5 years. Madison County Sheriff's Office continues to be a tri-accredited agency. This past year, the Road Patrol was equipped with body cameras, which will be a useful tool used to generate trust between civilians and deputies. Cameras will add transparency, provide accountability, and give a point of view perspective to every police contact. Also in 2022, the Sheriff's Office established a full-time DWI patrol in mid-April to help combat impaired driving, whether it be alcohol or drug related. Since April, the DWI patrol has made 29 DWI arrests, 3 DWAI arrests, and issued over 700 tickets. This past year, the Children's Advocacy Center served over 179 families. New windows and fencing were also installed at the facility. The CAC also did a great job in receiving roughly $300,000 in grant funding from the New York State Office of Victim Services and the Office of Children and Family Services. Thank you again for all your hard work. It's been almost 10 years since our historic settlement with the Oneida Nation and in New York State. We look forward to continuing our strengthen our partnership with the Oneida Nation as they expand and bring a renewed economic future to our area. As I mentioned before, these programs and services you provide our residents are top-notch. Our employees are always looking at ways to bring in revenue or grant funds to offset property taxes. However, at the rate inflation is going and the mandates coming from Albany, we need to do more. We need to reevaluate how the county is going to continue to pay a competitive wage and afford new equipment and machinery, especially under the state's new climate law, at the same time working to provide our outstanding services that our residents are used to. If we continue down the path we are currently on, no one is going to be able to afford their property taxes. That is why sometime in the next quarter, I will be creating a Madison County 2030 working group, bringing local business leaders, taxpayers, as well as officials into a panel that will look at our future as a county. This panel will take a look at the trends, efficiencies, drawbacks, costs, and more on how we currently do business and conduct government and what we may look like beyond 2030. After listening to the governor's state of the state locally, we will have to work hard to protect home rule from being taken over. Home rule was adopted in 1963 in New York State and allows counties, towns, and villages zoning power. New York State's own report on home rule says that home rule's general purpose is for specific power to regulate the quality of life in communities. Home rule is also part of the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, ratified in 1868. So how can Governor Hochul say that New York State, under home rule, can overrule all local zoning and codes and assessment to site an electrical power plant either near or in a residential neighborhood, or first and foremost on one of our state's most precious resources, agriculturally zoned farmland? That is just the siting of electrical power plants. The process of siting housing is next. Our governor has proposed usurping home rule again by placing housing wherever the state would like in the name of equity. So in the name of equity, New York State infringes on one person's rights to balance out another. There has to be a better way. New York State's climate action bill law, only half thought through, has always been a proponent. I have always been a proponent of New York City because they are part of our state as a big economic engine. But most of upstate New York is carbon neutral. New York City is only 10% carbon free. It seems, again, this decision is one-sided. New York State is going to cover vast swaths of farmland with renewable energy resources to only meet New York City's goals. Back to equity, infringing on upstate for downstate power. There are two New Yorks with two different lifestyles, rural and urban. The urban community needs to figure out their power problems without infringing on the rest of us. There are many, many questions that come out of the CLCPA, acronym for the climate law, here in New York State. John Howard, former head of the Public Service Commission, said, "Who will pay? It will be you, the electric ratepayers, and all municipalities. So don't think that your taxes will not be going up. This is all in the name of green energy." This will be the fight. This will be the hill, New York State versus the people. Any new home or garage must have an electric car charger in it. Any new home built after 2028 has to be fossil fuel free, no gas, no propane, no fuel oil. The plan calls for prohibiting replacement of residential equipment that uses combustion fossil fuels or heating and cooling and hot water after 2030. Commercial equipment follows soon after that. And by 2035, replacement of fossil fuel appliances are prohibited. After 2035, which will be upon us very quickly, there will be no more fuel burning cars, pickup trucks, or SUVs sold in New York State. People froze to death in the prairies in the 1800s looking for a better life. Just a few weeks ago, Buffalo, a storm of massive proportion, everything in its path, and cars were stuck in highways, power outages took days to fix, and many people were left without heat. People froze to death. What happens when we all are on the grid and there are no gas generators or alternative heat sources? What happens when you're stuck in the highway in your vehicle and it dies? People will die. We need to come up with a better solution that not only addresses reduction of greenhouse gases, but addresses the cost and the protection of our land and people. In conclusion, we need to keep up the never-ending work and keep up the fight here in Madison County for all of our citizens. In the words of President Abraham Lincoln, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And President John F. Kennedy once said, "Every accomplishment starts with a decision to try." Thank you, and God bless Madison County.